And good morning at 7:04 on this Friday, April 14th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company. Our guest host today, Judge Barry Tatum.
Thank you, MJ, and especially thanks to everyone for tuning in this morning. Coleman's on special assignment, as we like to say. He was here yesterday, but the power was off, so he had a very limited audience, but Coleman will be making a comeback come Monday. Her rest, ready and refreshed, but folks that tune in on Friday mornings always know that the first segment is sponsored by our friends at Wilson Bank and Trust, and periodically we have kind of a separate but also part of the Wilson Bank and Trust family, the investment services with Raymond James Financial. And this morning we have Wilson Powell. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've been out here before.
Correct.
And have done this. And I kind of, when I saw you in the lobby, I know we have to have this disclosure that's required. And I didn't have, Coleman's always good about having the paperwork for me, and I kind of panicked, and he said, no problem. It's on my card.
Yeah, I try to keep a couple of business cards on me, so it's on the back of that, so we'll have that covered as well here at the end.
Well, you've been with Wilson Bank, with Raymond James Financial Services for, you said, about 3 years.
3 years, yes.
And, of course, we're coming up on the end of the tax year, and, of course, the stock market is kind of the thermometer for our economy and the health of the economic health of the country. And what would you like to share with us about the stock, securities, bond markets, and some advice maybe for folks that are listening?
The last time I was here, it was the end of December, so the end of 2022, and as most people know, the stock market had a bad year and the bond market was down as well. So both sides were down on the year, and we've seen a rebound so far to start the year. The market's up, S&P 500's up a little over 7% to start the year. Bond market has rallied too, and so the end of the year is a good time to really refocus on your plan and what you're trying to accomplish. But also, right now we know everyone's filing taxes now. Either you've already done it or you're finalizing that now, and that's another good time to focus on your plan. For people who haven't maxed out contributions or made contributions, you have up until April 18th to do that.
You're talking about a deferred tax, like an IRA?
An IRA, Roth IRA, you have up until April 18th to do that.
Okay.
Last year, if you're below the age of 50, you could max out $6,000 a year, $7,000 if you're over the age of 50, and they've actually raised that. The IRS has raised that for 2023 for now, so you can do $6,500 or $7,500 if you're over the age of 50. So that's been a nice change for investors. We know with inflationary pressures in the economy that we need an uptick in that as well. So
Senator Pody and I are both over 50, I suspect. I know I am, but I wondered if I could borrow $7,500 to make that contribution.
I think you can ask him. He might have brought $7,500 worth of bagels or something this morning that we saw, but yeah, you guys were right there able to do that.
Well, one thing, what I've noticed over the years and with folks that are involved in the securities industry, you have to have kind of a long-term vision. And you mentioned last year was a bad year, but you can't appreciate how good a year is until you have a little slowdown. And there's an old saying, you can't appreciate the view from the highest mountain until you travel through the lowest valley. So in the big picture of things, the stock market, it seems like, would be a fairly good investment.
Yeah, I think too, with what our team prioritizes and what we talk about to investors every day is when you're investing, we're not just doing this for a couple of weeks at a time or a couple of months at a time or maybe even a year at a time. Most of this is decades of planning. You're doing this for a reason, and most of this is that you're thinking what you're doing in investing is going to help your family in the long run. And so, yeah, I mean, short-term pressures are always going to be there. We live in a technology-driven society where you're going to have information at all times, but it's really trying to detach from that and focus on the longer-term picture, and we try to help people do that as well.
Well, for folks that have a interest in that, or maybe are just starting out, or maybe they're looking for some guidance or input, what's the best way to get in touch with the folks at Raymond James?
Our office line is 615-443-6509. And we've got advisors all across the footprint with Wilson Bank, so not just here in Lebanon, but other communities as well. But our main office line, 615-443-6509 is the best way.
So as close as you are to any branch of Wilson Bank and Trust, you're just as close to Raymond James Financial Services.
Correct. You will have somebody there to help you out.
All right. Well, there's a disclosure that we always need to cover, and since you have the script, and it's in really small print, and you're a young man, I'm going to let you cover it.
All right. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC are not guaranteed by Wilson Bank and Trust. They are subject to risk and may lose value. They're not a deposit and not insured by FDIC or any government agency. Wilson Bank and Trust and Wilson Bank and Trust Investment Services are not broker-dealers.
All right. Wilson Powell, thank you so much for being here, and hope you have a great week, and maybe the phone will be ringing when you get to the office.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good weekend, too.
Thank you. Thank you. It's 10 minutes after the hour, and we've already kind of spoiled the surprise, but it's not really a surprise when we have the Friday Senate report. And I'm gonna step back because I know I'm about to be blasted away with sound here. I hope you don't blow a fuse on this, but good morning, Senator Mark Pody.
Good morning, Judge. It's a great day to be alive. What a day to be here.
It is.
So I got a surprise you being here.
I'm sorry?
I got a surprise with you being here.
Well, I hope it's a pleasant surprise. I got kind of a call at the last minute and about being in here, and I said glad to do it anytime, Coleman, and you know he was planning on being here, and. But I told him, I said, if you need me, I'll show up. And but I'm just glad we got electricity this morning.
Yes. So you were actually on my list to call next week. And so, you know, we got a lot of things going on with DCS.
Right.
And Margie Quinn is the commissioner. You know, she actually has some roots here in Wilson County.
Yes, sir.
From Cumberland University.
Right.
She taught there and such for a while. And they're going through a lot of laws right now, a lot of changes in the adoption laws and when they should cut parental rights, things like that. And so I met with Senator Farrell Hale, and I had dinner with him the other night.
Senator Hale's from where?
He's out of Sumner County.
Okay.
And so he's running some of these bills as well as at Jackson. And I want to make adoptions easier. I want to make them cheaper. I want to help wherever we possibly can. But some things they're doing is terminating parental rights, and they're really cutting those lengths of time much shorter. And so I told him, I said, I have some concerns on how fast we're doing it and such. So, you know, and I told Commissioner Quinn, how fast we take kids from parents is also a concern. You know, we've got so many kids in state custody, and even if they're in a bad situation, if we don't have a better situation for them, maybe it's not as advantageous as to move those kids immediately.
Exactly.
So, so I've had some concerns, and I was going to call and talk to you about those.
Right.
And what does it look like to, you know, cut parental rights as fast as we can? I know this is something you deal with in your profession all the time. And just so the folks know, Judge, you know, you've helped us, my family, personally with some of these issues as well as we were going through and foster caring and adoptions for my grandkids.
Well, just as an aside, and I know we have a lot of other things to cover on here this morning, but sometimes you can get in too big of a hurry. And it's never wrong to be able to pump the brakes, but you know it's and I can pretty well speak for every juvenile court judge across the state when I say this, that one of the dilemmas that we have when we decide to make a removal or we're presented with the situation about removing a child from home is we have to wonder, where is that child going to be going? They may be in a bad situation, but like you said, sometimes the other options aren't as good. So it's traumatizing for any child to be removed, even from a bad situation. So we all try to keep that into account. But I appreciate your interest in that, and I'll be glad to talk with you at any time next week about that.
All right. So I got some news. I don't know how close we are to a break.
We've got a couple minutes.
Okay. So the first thing is, the first time ever Tennessee has topped $7 million, 7 million residents. So we are right now the 15th most populous state in the nation. We just passed Massachusetts, so we are 15th, which is, we're growing as far as influence across the nation as well. And 7 million residents is kind of cool. And if we look at where they're growing in the last 2 years, we've actually had 140,000 people move into Tennessee. And I got a map showing all of the counties that are either growing, staying the same, or actually shrinking some. We have a few counties that are actually shrinking, like Davidson County actually shrunk just a little bit, but Wilson County is the fastest growing county in the state in the last 2 years.
You're talking about the fastest in increase in population.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wow.
In right here in the last 2 years. That's the latest census data that we have. We have over 7% growth here in Wilson County. They were followed, actually, we're at 7.3. Murray County is second. They got 7.1% growth, which really is going to affect how we do our schools, how we do infrastructure, and so forth, because when we're growing this fast, it's just hard to keep up with this number of people coming in.
Well, we'll talk about that more when we get to the break. I knew we were getting close, but it seems like I can remember when Tennessee had maybe a 3 million population. So and we had gravel roads. So we'll talk about that during the break and maybe when we come back. But right now, MJ's got her headphones on, so a traffic report and a word from our sponsor.
Thanks, Judge. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford. Regular oil change $34.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, $16.73 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. THP's having a time trying to clean up this wreck out here in Wilson County this morning. And listen up, there's a bit of a delay as they clean up this wreck on 40 westbound at the 247 mile marker. Again, that's delaying a lot of people coming in from Smith County trying to get to Wilson County on 40 going westbound at the 247 mile marker. Also trying to clean up this wreck out in Bellevue. It's 40 eastbound at the Highway 70 exit there. Again, that's got traffic running slow coming in from Kingston Springs. Again, keep that in mind. If you're coming from Dixon County towards Nashville, that's a pretty good delay that's developed on 40 eastbound at Highway 70 in Bellevue. Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. Check out nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Hello, Phoenix baseball fans. I'm Xavier Torres from Bayamon, Puerto Rico, and I play shortstop for the Cumberland baseball team. We're currently in first place in the Mid-South Conference and are ranked 22nd in the nation. We have big conference games this week on the road with Lindsey Wilson. You can hear all the games on these radio stations or online at wantfm.com or gocumberlandathletics.com. Check our website for possible game changes due to weather. We appreciate your continued support. Go Phoenix.
Have you ever wondered what the ministry of Jesus was really like? Now, thanks to Angel Studios, you can get a glimpse. The most successful crowd-funded series in history is coming to College Hills. By now, you've heard of or seen snippets of The Chosen, but maybe a busy schedule has kept you from enjoying it without interruption. Beginning Sunday afternoon, April 16th, and for 8 weeks following, College Hills will be hosting this outstanding portrayal of the life and ministry of Jesus. There will be no formal worship time or collection. The event is free and open to the whole family. Following the showing, there will be a Q&A led by members of College Hills and other faith communities. Join us for light snacks and beverages at 4:30 p.m. and for the 1-hour showing at 5 p.m. Reignite your passion for the Savior of the world and expand your knowledge of His mission. Once again, that's April 16th, 5 p.m. at the College Hills Church of Christ on Leeville Pike in Lebanon, Tennessee. Come and see for yourself. Visit collegehills.org for more information.
Welcome back to Coleman & Company. Barry Tatum is sitting in for Coleman, who's on special assignment. We're visiting with Senator Mark Pody on our Friday Senate report. And we were just looking at this map over here in most of the counties in Middle Tennessee. Wilson, DeKalb, Williamson, Rutherford, Murray, Marshall, Moore County, all got big growth. But like you said, Wilson County does have the highest growth, 7.3% over the last 2 years. So we've done our part to get us over that 7 million mark in population statewide. So I'm sure that, when you talked about the pressure that it has on schools, I'm sure Jeff Luttrell and Mr. Hutto with the Lebanon Special School District, Sheriff Bryan, Mayor Hutto, anybody that's in government may have the numbers right now, but they've been feeling it for a while, the pains that you have from growth.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, how does this what does this do, big picture, for the state of Tennessee as far as our economy and our financial health, our credit ratings, and all of those things that go along with that?
So we've got some of the absolute best in the nation as far as the credit ratings, what we're doing with the money that we have coming in. We are growing. Our budget is growing. Something that's happened right now is we were just put on notice that next week will probably be our last week in session. So we're about to shut down. The budget's going to actually be voted on next week. I think on Wednesday is what the target is. Once we vote on the budget, there's really not much left for us to do. So maybe on Friday will be our last date. Normally we don't even go in on Friday, but they said keep Friday open so we can possibly end up our entire session next week.
And y'all have to work in conjunction, the Senate with the House, and I guess they've been told the same thing, that next week will be their last week as well.
Yes. Now the House has a lot of drama going on right now.
Really?
They expelled. They tried to expel 3 people, and they expelled 2 of the 3.
And they got back in.
And they are back in. And the drama, the protests that are going on down there, every day that we're in session, we're hearing them and seeing them in the gallery. And I don't mind people coming down. It's their right, and it's their constitutional right. Because if we were upset about something else, we'd be coming down too. So, but it makes it a lot more interesting when we're going through session as we're trying to end up right now with this. Some of the things that the governor's just put out, though, is he put an executive order to try and help with some of the gun violence and such. He's also asking us to study some things over the summer and come back next year with different potential gun laws and things like that, and how we can make our schools safer. You know, we are passing a large budget item about school safety. You know, for example, we're saying that if you build a new school, it's got to have bulletproof glass, and all these things are going to have a cost going forward. And Wilson County is going to be building new schools, so this is going to be affecting us as well.
Let me just throw something out here at you, and you know, people want to lay all the blame on guns, or they want to lay all the blame on mental health, and rarely, and I think this is certainly the case, there's never a single answer. But and the vast majority of weapon owners, I'm one of them, are responsible and keep track of your weapons and don't misuse them, and it's not something to boost the ego. But to get a driver's license in Tennessee, you have to show proof of financial responsibility. Has there been any kind of discussion saying that if you're going to own a weapon, own one or own 100, that you're going to be required to have some sort of surety bond or some sort of insurance policy in the event that, you know, you leave a gun in the console of your car and somebody breaks into your car and steals it, and that gun is subsequently used to kill somebody? Seems like that, you know, an insurance bond would be a good thing to say this is a cost of owning a weapon. And it puts the pressure on the person to say, hey, maybe I need to keep this locked up. Maybe I need to make sure that it's not out there visible. Has there been any discussion along that line?
There has been. In fact, in the last few weeks, I think we've seen, even though it's past the bill filing deadline, a lot of new bills are being filed concerning different gun options, and it's across the board. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to try and sit down this summer, and I think they'll probably put down a few people from across the board on both sides of the party to come up with something that they feel would be the best regulations going forward. Just like they did with school safety, they've done this with DCS, they've done it in the past, and when the governor says, this is something that's a high priority to me.
Right.
Let's do a summer study where they meet every month, they sit down every month, go through all the options, and then come and the governor propose something next year and say, here's what we would like to proceed with. So I believe that's going to be on the table for this summer.
Well, something else, you know, that it used to be, I never did do it, and it ended before I became of age, but used to hear old farmers talk about they could go to the co-op or go to the hardware store and get a few sticks of dynamite to blow out stumps or blow out rocks in their field. And of course, explosives are inherently dangerous, and now anybody that's dealing with that on a construction site has to be licensed state and federally and inspected. They have to be, if they leave their facility with so many grams or pounds of dynamite or explosives, they have to account for them, how long it took them to get from the point to the construction site, where it was handed off to, and it's kept up secured. And if they don't do it, there are some significant penalties on this. And I'm just wondering if it's considered to be an inherently dangerous thing, and a gun, can wreak a lot of havoc. I'm just wondering if there was some sort of permitting or some sort of putting that to a higher standard, that there would be some sort of strict liability saying that if you own a weapon and you sell it or give it as a gift, that you could somehow retain some sort of liability for that if you were ever in the chain of custody, going all the way back to the manufacturer on that. And the monies recouped from that could be used for mental health, because we've got a mental health crisis, I believe, in our state.
We absolutely do have some issues that we've got to be addressing. And actually, one of my son-in-laws have just kind of gone into that field as well. And he is a mental health therapist, and he works out in Nashville. And as they're going through, it's like an amazing, eye-opening experience for me. When I sat down, I actually had him come to Nashville, and I brought in, a lot of people from the state and such, and we sat down, and we talked, and I said, no, he's in the field. He graduated from Cumberland. And what is the right steps? And it's even interesting, though, the people that are in that field, they're having a hard time saying this is what we should or shouldn't do to come up with the right answer. But I can tell you one of the things that we're doing wrong, and that's arresting them and putting them in hospital, or we're putting them in jail. I mean, because that's not the right. They're not getting the treatment that they need. They'll sit there sometimes. They'll be in the hospital, and you almost have to have one person with that person all the time. Well, that takes up resources. That takes up the hospital resources, everybody, where real emergency, not that this is not a real emergency, but a different place, a different setting would be a better place for them to get the treatments that they need. So you're right, Judge. Addressing the mental health crisis that we're having and going on right now is something we got to consider as a real safety issue for everybody going forward.
One of the things when I was out here Wednesday, College Hills Church of Christ is sponsoring a free program for the next 8 Sundays, starting this Sunday, viewing of the series, The Chosen, about the life of Christ. And one of the things in talking with the two gentlemen out here Wednesday was there's a lot of anxiety. I see it in dealing with people in the court system. I see it in dealing with kids. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that translates into fear into anger and acting out and so forth. And getting back to the DCS issue, one of the problems that I've seen that as far as delivery of services is you can have a child and a family who are desperately in need of some sort of counseling, whether it's individual or whether it's family, and it takes literally weeks, if not months, to get that first appointment in, just because of the lack of providers, and I guess because also the demand that's out there, that it's tied up. So that's a huge gap that we have. I'll toot our horn here a little bit on we recently revamped a website for our juvenile court services, and there's a tool on there to cover something what's known as ACEs, which is Adverse Childhood Experiences, and how if you've had those, and most people can look back and say, I remember this and it was a bad time in my life, but as far as serious adverse childhood experiences, how it impacts their physical health as well as their mental health going forward if it's not addressed through therapy. So people can get on wilsoncountytn.gov and go to the link for juvenile court and see the testing tool we have there for the ACEs program. But I don't know how you do it, and it's not just a single one answer issue. I feel sorry for folks in the legislature who are having to sort through all this information and try to prioritize it. But I'm glad to hear that there is some movement on that to try to address it and some recognition.
And, last year, the big issue was DCS, and it made the news, it did everything. And we had almost, there was over 500 caseworker vacancies that they couldn't even, and then somebody would go into DCS as a caseworker and they would leave within just a few months. The turnover rate was so high, and the kids said they'd be getting a new caseworker on a regular basis, and that's not good for the kids because then they're going to get caught up on what happened. With the new commissioner, they've cut that down to just about 300 vacancies, which is it's still a big issue, but it's not near what it was. And those people in DCS are going to be getting a raise. So I think that the caseworkers will stay longer. They're getting trained a little bit better, and they're not rushing them in as fast to overload them and burn them out as fast as well. So we had to sit down, come up with a really good plan over a thoughtful period of time and implement that. And that's working. I think that's what's going to be happening next on mental health and such is let's sit down. Let's really put some serious thought into it. Because as a legislator, I can try and come up, I got one idea that might fit one thing, but it's not a full-grown approach where everything is addressed. So I think that we need to do that on mental health. Come up with what is the entire program that looks like. And we talked about adoption this year. And they did. The governor set down a priority, and he had like a dozen bills that they're passing, and those are being the ones that we're talking about right now. And I think 9 of them have already passed, so we've got just a few left to help make adoptions go faster.
Well, even though the session is wrapping up, it's going to be a busy week for you, it sounds like. But listen, thank you for your time, for coming out here, and thanking for keeping the public informed about what's happening in Nashville. And maybe we'll keep our fingers crossed the Senate can behave itself where y'all don't have all the protesters down there. Let that be the House's problem.
Absolutely.
All right. Senator Mark Pody, thank you so much for your time. And with that, MJ's giving me the nod. It's time to get a traffic report and a word from our sponsors.
Thanks, Judge. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Absolute Kubota. They'll help you rent the right tools for the job. The Kubota Orange Rental Program makes it easy to rent the right equipment. Stop by Absolute Kubota. Check out the U35 excavator, the SVL 75 compact track loader, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Cleanup continues in Wilson County. There's still about a 15-20 minute delay as they work that accident in Wilson County coming in from Smith County, 40 westbound near the 247 mile marker. Again, I'm looking at it live right now, and that's still struggling through that section of Wilson County. People are still looking at this earlier wreck as they drive by 40 east at Highway 70 coming in from Bellevue. That's still about a 10-minute extra delay as you come in from the Dixon County and Kingston Springs headed towards Nashville. Hey, Prince's Hot Chicken is catering. They're online with that menu. Check it out, princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
We will be in for a mix of sun and clouds this morning as temperatures climb through the 60s. Look for a high of 75 this afternoon, and we can't rule out a stray shower or two. The real chance for rain will come late Saturday night and into Sunday morning. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number 1 Ned.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company as we wrap up the second half of the show here. And Friday mornings, it's almost as predictable as the sun coming up. We've got Exit Rocky Top Realty. The only issue on Friday morning, second half, is who's going to show up from Exit Rocky Top Realty. So
you never know.
You never know. And I don't know if we keep people in suspense, but if folks listen enough, they can recognize the difference between your voice and Miss Judy's. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I want to brag on you a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Senior Citizen Center had a banquet a while back, and from what I understand, you were the grand prize winner of some sort of vacation package, and you could spend as little as you wanted. You could go camping at Cedars of Lebanon State Park and
Yes.
and keep the cash, or you could have gone to Fiji Island and maxed out your credit card. But you gave all of that back to the Senior Citizen Center.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes, that was just something that I really didn't think about. It was just, one of those last minute things that I said, well, I'll go on here and put my name in the box, and stuff. And I never dreamed that I would have won.
Yeah.
And then when Mayor Bell drew my name, he said, "You've got to be kidding." I thought he drew his own name. And I was sitting at the table right in front of him, and he said my name. And I said, "You've got to be kidding me. I don't win anything." And then I sat at the table and thought about it and thought, what can I do with this? Can I run now? Can I take it and run? And then we just, me and my husband just decided, hey, just give it back to them because it'll help them more than it probably would help us.
Right.
So I was glad to do it. So.
Well, I know they were appreciated it, and I've heard different people in the community talking about, did you hear what Medina Hemmentoler did at the Senior Citizens? So don't, folks have a good gesture, do good things, and they talk about it at the time, but then time goes on and we get caught up in our lives. But
Yes.
I just wanted to scratch that one more time.
Well, I appreciate that. And, too, I had Judge Brody Kane and his wife, Angel, sitting at our table, and they had one of your cheesecakes.
Oh,
And so.
did they get sick?
No. They had one of your cheesecakes. So because of what I had done and gave the money back, Judge Kane gave me your cheesecake.
Well, how about that?
So see, I was a winner after all.
That's called paying it forward.
That's exactly right.
And we know that cheesecake is priceless.
Oh, yes, we do. And it was delicious. I can now say I have had a Judge Barry Tatum cheesecake.
Well,
It was wonderful.
I've got to deliver 2 more to the Child Advocacy Center Chocolate Affair event tomorrow night.
yep.
So, and then I've got a few more coming up.
They'll be fighting over that one.
Well, we're talking about cheesecakes and fundraisers and so forth, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about what's going on with Exit Rocky Top Realty, the C&D team, and listings and sales and so forth.
But that's one thing that Exit Rocky Top, even C&D before it became Exit, that's what Mike and Judy started their business on, is in the community, being part of the community, being part of the senior citizens and all these fundraisers, and that's how your business grows. It's just being part of the community and helping and giving along the way. So that's how I got here, and so that's what I have been taught all these years, and now I'm learning to pass it on.
There you go. Pay it forward.
That's exactly right. But we have land, we have lots, we have farms, we have houses for sale. As a State Representative Pody said that, we're the largest county in Groen County in Tennessee, and I can believe that. You ask any realtor and they would say the same thing. I can believe that. I can't believe that we're not even higher than that.
Right.
But we have house in Smithville coming up for sale that is coming soon. Next week it should be on the market, but it's listed at $229. It's a 1-level, 2-bedroom and 1 bath, a great starter home, a great rental investment. So it's right off the interstate of Smithville. And then we've got a condo coming available in Franklin Terrace. It's coming soon, probably 2 or 3 weeks before we have that one listed. And as far as on Franklin Road, South Maple, right across from used to be Zips.
Okay.
Right there at the fork.
Okay.
But right in that area. And it's a condo, it's a 1-level, and it'll be a 3-bedroom and 2 bath. So be watching for that one. That one's coming up soon. They're getting it ready right now. But we also have lots and lands and farms. If you're looking for 80 acres and you have cows and you want them to have more land to roam on, we've got it. It's all fenced. It's got a pond. It's even parked for a 4-bedroom.
Or maybe if you want more cows.
That's more cows. But it's in Watertown, and so it's listed at $699. And then we come on down from there. We have a 10-acre lot on Canesville Road, and it's listed at $249.9. And then we have 7 acres on Rutledge Lane. and it's fenced. It's a 3-bedroom perk. It has water on it, and it's in the process of getting electricity on it.
Well,
And it's listed at $499.9.
well, what's amazing to me is you're talking about these different properties, you know the prices, you know what the description of the property is, and you have 0 notes in front of you. You're doing this from your mind.
It's one of those things that you do it all day and all the time, and you can just visualize it in your head. And we also have on Old Murfreesboro Road a house. It's a four-bedroom house, 2.5 bath, and it's sitting on 2.7 acres, but it could also be commercial.
Okay.
And it backs up to Dayton Freight, right there off Hartman and on Old Murfreesboro Road. And it has an auto mechanic garage separate, and then also just another detached garage. And so that's listed at $649.9. So that could either be residential or commercial, either one you want it to be.
Okay.
So give us a call on that one. And then we've got, oh my goodness, we've got other lots and farms and houses and.
Well, for folks that want something on there,
Yes.
what's the best way to get in touch with?
Give us a call at 615-443-3130. There's always someone that answers the phone 24 hours, 7 days a week.
And you don't?
You don't ever make a move without us.
All right. That's the catchphrase for the exit, Rocky Top exit team at C&D down at West Main Street. And give Medina Hemmentoler a call, or Miss Judy, or Miss Dorman, or Miss Gorman, or Dorman, Miss Gorman, Doris Gorman there, and whoever else is down the agent. And Lee Tisdale will even answer the phone a few times.
Yes, she will. That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the between you and Senator Pody, we just got all kinds of energy in here. I'm wide awake now. Thank you.
Thank
Dana.
you.
And with that, it's 20 minutes before the hour, and we're joined this morning by Dr. Hartish Patel.
Hetal Patel.
Hetal Patel, and who's here to talk about. Well, tell us the name of your business, Dr. Patel.
Well, I'm a pharmacist and owner at Lebanon Family Pharmacy.
Okay.
We're down on West Main at the Bargain Hunt Complex. And I am so glad to see you after a long time.
Well, you remembered that we had met before. I had forgotten, and I apologize about that. Coleman is always good about having my notes out here about who's going to be here, but last minute like this, don't have the notes. So I'm glad to see you again. But Lebanon Family Pharmacy is kind of a unique niche in the pharmacy because it's a holistic
It is.
pharmacy.
Well, I wouldn't call it a holistic pharmacy, but it is an approach that we've used that is a lot different than, all pharmacies have holistic products in their location, but not everybody is interested in the line of Ayurveda, and that's what we do. And also one unique thing about our pharmacy is kind of going along the lines of what Madonna just said, that when you open a business, it's not just about making money or making profits. It's about how you're giving back to the community. So what you're making on your way, you're kind of giving it back as well. So we have a few programs at our pharmacy that are kind of free to the community, no strings attached. Like they don't have to get prescriptions from us. They don't have to, buy anything from us. You can just come and talk to us about anything that you need, and we provide, free advice, whether it's about getting free multivitamins for your children or your grandchildren, or just a few questions that you have before you can get a hold of your doctor's office. So we're always there. We'll always guide you in the right direction, and that's just how we're giving it back to the community.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because over time I've heard people talk about over the years, they've kind of become critical, I guess, of medicine and the big pharma industry and of course, getting insurance approvals and so forth. But the truth of it is, as long as there have been humans on the face of the planet, there have been health needs that have gone along with that. And we live in an age where things can be diagnosed and treatments can be developed, but so much of it is basically listening to the person and what their complaints are.
Absolutely. So what we do is, with our approach, it's more about prevention than treatment. So by the time you diagnose a problem, the problem is already at a state where you're actually going to be needing some of the allopathic, which is the prescription treatments, or maybe, an over-the-counter, but which is an actual drug.
Right.
What we do with our approach is before a person is even diagnosed with something, or if they're even diagnosed but are diabetic or pre-cholesterol, just at the borderline, and the recommendation from the doctor would be, well, let's do some diet and exercise changes and then come back in 3 months and we'll see, if your levels have gone up or down. Well, diet and exercise changes in 3 months ain't gonna do anything. Because by the time you figure your plan out, it's already 3 months. It's time for your doctor's appointment. So that's where we come in play. So anything that is holistic or Ayurvedic, it doesn't show results in 3 months. It takes at least about a year for you to try it to see any results. But 3 months is an average time that any doctor or pharmacist would give to a drug trial to kind of see if it has made a difference or not. So I would say 3 months is the cutoff time, but a year is where you would actually see benefits, real benefits from it.
So the long-term changes.
Exactly. And so if somebody is like, well, diet and exercise is just not cutting it for me, then this is something that we can, a product like that is Ayurvedic, we can add on to that and see how it goes. Now, it doesn't 100% work for everybody. If your disease state is already at a point where, you're probably going to need allopathic care, at that point, we'll flatly tell you that, hey, you're here for this, you can try this, but things like nerve damage or extensive nerve damage or something like that, you can't reverse that.
Right.
That has to be managed, either just like a topical analgesic or, pain medications. But a lot of people don't want to be on pain medications. Well, what's the alternative? So the natural alternative we have at our pharmacy is, topical analgesics and that are natural, and also natural CBD products that we recommend for a lot of patients that are in pain. It's been a mess right now because a lot of opioids are on manufacturer back order. A lot of anxiety medications are on manufacturer back orders. I mean, a list just got published by the FDA recently. I think it was a couple of days ago, where it showed which medications were on back orders. And it's literally things that people are dependent on every day for their daily function. And if you can't do that, your jobs get affected, your daily life, your daily function gets affected, everything gets affected. And, they always call for medications, and sometimes we might not even have what they're looking for in stock when it comes to allopathy, when prescription medicine. But we can always recommend a natural alternative and see while you're struggling to find what you need, this is something that you can take meanwhile to kind of see how it works for you. So we have options for everybody.
Well, we'll discuss some more of those options when we get back from our last traffic report and a word from our sponsors, and we'll turn it over to MJ.
Thanks, Judge. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford. Get a battery installed on most vehicles, $134.95. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Trying to wrap up the paperwork on this wreck that people were staring at out in Bellevue on 40 eastbound near Highway 70. Again, it's better than it was, but it's still catching some folks off guard as they come in from Kingston Springs, from Dixon County, arriving here in West Nashville through Bellevue on 40 eastbound. It's heavy now over here by the airport, I-40 at Donaldson Pike, and I can see a steady flow of traffic making its way in from Wilson County right now in the area of Mount Juliet, I-40 headed towards Nashville. Prince's Hot Chicken is catering. Check out their menu. That food is so good. PrincesHotChicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Are you ready to move on up to your next dream home?
We are full-time real estate professionals with over 42 years of combined experience.
We will get the job done for you to move on up.
Ready for a deluxe apartment in the sky? Remember, don't make a move without us.
Call Judy Cox or Medina Himmentoller at Exit Rocky Top Realty. C&D Team, 443-3130.
We're moving on up to the side.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medore Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Welcome back to Coleman County. We call it the home stretch here with the last 12 minutes or so of our program. And we're speaking with Dr. Hartel Patel. I got it right. 3rd time's charm, maybe.
Yes,
and,
that is great.
But we were talking about her Lebanon Family Pharmacy, which, tell me again where you're located.
We're located where the Bargain Hunt Complex is on 1311 West Main Street, Suite A, right next to Mimi Nails. So not towards the Papa John's and the ice cream place, but the other end of that complex.
Okay, and let's see, there's a service station there in front of you.
Yeah.
Ruby Tuesdays
Yeah,
is
Ruby
right
Tuesdays, and then the Circle K gas station is right in front of us as well. So, yeah.
there. So that gives us an idea about the location. Tell us about your hours. What hours? How many days a week are you open, and what hours?
So there's a little change that we made in our hours, and we used to be open on Saturdays, but we're no longer open. It was 6 hours on Saturdays.
Okay.
And, there's a lot of thinking that went into it, and it's just, was taking a lot of time. I'm the only pharmacist that's working. So, and my daughter, she's, 3 years old. She's growing, and she, has all these events that she needs to be at, and I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So, being a community, independent pharmacy, we decided that I didn't want to compromise my motherhood, but I also didn't want to compromise what I was offering the community as well. So Monday to Friday, we're open 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Weekends, we're closed. But if you have an emergency question, you can always reach us 24/7 on our Facebook page. So if you send us a message through Facebook Messenger, we will always answer that even on the weekends. Now, Monday to Friday, if you need to call us or ask a question, you can call us at 615-547-9556, or you can shoot us an email at LebanonFamilyPharmacy@gmail.com.
LebanonFamilyPharmacy@gmail.com.
Yes, that is correct.
You mentioned that y'all offer some programs that are free. You don't have to get your prescriptions filled at your pharmacy, but that were geared towards preventive medicine and lifestyle changes, I guess, that go along with it. Would you care to touch on those about what you offer?
Absolutely. So the first thing what we want to talk about is the free multivitamins for all kids in Wilson County.
Free multivitamins?
They're free multivitamins. You don't have to pay a dime. All you do is come in, sign a paper, and then we give you a little punch card. You bring that punch card every month, we punch it, and we give you a free bottle. No questions asked. And that's solely based on the nutrition that we wanted to focus on for kids. All kids are, not eating everything all the time. Like if you have a picky child like mine and doesn't like broccoli, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So we had that program for our little kids here in the county. And then for elderly patients or patients that have diabetes, we have a program where we'll give you a free blood glucose meter, 1 meter every year, and then some test strips to go along with it, depending on, if we know your medical record, and that is associated with medications. And reason why we would like to do the medications with that aspect is with diabetes patients, it's really hard to manage your diabetes. You can come and get a free meter, you can come and get free test strips, but once you come to do that, it gives me a chance to actually take care of you as a person overall. So it's not just about getting a meter and getting test strips, but it's about the pharmacist that you go and pick up your medications from, are they really taking the time to explain to you or ask you if those medications are working? What was your last A1C? Or, how is your blood glucose control? What are your concerns? And if you're on diabetes, you probably are on metformin. Well, how are the side effects effects. Like, are you okay with that? Or is it troublesome? Sometimes people are going through a rough time and don't even know that those are the side effects from the metformin that they're facing. And then their nutrition levels are very important when you're on metformin, because there's one specific vitamin that your body slowly stops to absorb because of that metformin. So
what vitamin would that be?
it's going to be B12.
Okay.
So we kind of, do that whole nutrition assessment for free, and then we'll give you the free blood glucose meter, test strips, and everything. But with that, we have a stipulation that even though it's free to you, we would like for you to fill your medications with us, so that way we can keep an eye on everything that's going on when it comes to you as a person. And if you're, restricted by insurance or something like that, please come and talk to us. We can always figure that out. I can't give you an answer if your insurance is, preferred with us or not until I have a prescription that we can run it through. So that's, something that we offer our patients. Now, nutrition assessment is something that I talked about diabetic patients. If you don't want to do the blood glucose meter, test strips, or transfer prescriptions, that's fine. You can still come and bring a list of your medications from another pharmacy, and then we can do that nutrition assessment for free. We don't have any stipulations attached to it that you have to transfer medicines or anything like that. We just, plainly go over the medications that you're on, see what changes we recommend to make, and they can talk to their doctor's office about it on their next visit and see what they have to say about it. So we want to make sure that they communicate that with their doctor's office too, because we're not here to replace the doctors. We are here to add on to the services that the doctor's offices are already providing, and make sure that the patient is at the center of everything and that they're being taken care of first.
One of the things I'm curious about, if you are prescribed a medication for a condition or an ailment, whatever you want to call it, do most, and you call it allopathic?
Yes, so prescriptions are allopathic.
Prescription medications to treat a condition. Do most of them have some sort of nutritional side effect?
Not all of them do. There are certain ones that the way the mechanism of action works for that medication, that kind of affects the nutrition at the downhill. So there are certain ones that pharmacists are aware of that, if we look at your medical profile, we know right away that, okay, this is, going to cause this is going to cause that. Well, statins, if you're on a statin, it's going to kind of, do this. So we give you a list actually as well. If you want to read it for yourself and figure it out. If you don't have time to talk to us, you can just come down and tell us, hey, can I get that list of the nutrition assessment that you were talking about? You can take it home and you can just figure it out for yourself as well. So, lots of free services. And one big thing that I'm seeing right now, and it doesn't, apply to the holistic approach or anything that we're doing, is an actual increase in prescriptions. And reason why is because of these back orders. A lot of people are not being able to get it from the manufacturers, and small pharmacies sometimes have more stock on certain things that they don't use all the time. Or, people are just tired of waiting in lines. Tired of, not getting the service. I mean, sometimes you see these when you drive around the chain pharmacies and there's a line of like 20 cars and you're just like, okay, how long is this going to take?
Yes.
And some people get frustrated and they're like, well, and then once they transfer to our pharmacy, they're like, I am never going back to a chain pharmacy.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, so it's not just the time that you're saving from your busy schedule. I mean, you as a busy mom, I know that I have like 10 things already on my list that I have to do right after I'm done with the show, So it's like you already are limited on time. And who has the time to wait for like an hour and a half just to get their prescriptions? Nobody.
and you drop them off, and some of them are ready and some of them aren't, and you have to make a second trip back.
Yesterday I had a lady that actually came in and she said that, she dropped her prescriptions off about a week ago, never heard anything back. She kept calling on it and they said they were just waiting. They were just waiting for the doctor's office, and then she didn't even know what they were waiting on. So then she got her prescription sent to us, and I did my research. I called her back and I was like, well, what it's needing is actually a prior authorization from your doctor's office. And it's not just a prior authorization for the drug itself, but the quantity that you're taking is also over their quantity limit. So it's going to need another another exception done, which is a quantity limit exception. And she's like, I mean, the language that you're talking in, she's like, I had no idea that this is what, my doctor's office does for me. And I was like, yeah, and I used to work for health insurance, and so that's the reason why I know their language.
Right.
And I can explain it better in simple terms to the patients that this is why your medication is taking so long from the doctor's office. Or they're like, I never got a call, anybody explaining why my medicine wasn't ready. I was just getting frustrated and I didn't know what was going on. So just a little bit of time about explaining why something is wrong with their prescription, it goes a long way. And then she was so glad she transferred her medications, and she said that, the kind of service that independents give to the community, it cannot be matched by anybody else.
and it's important because so much of it is about communication, so much of it, and communication, a big part of that is listening.
Yes, absolutely.
And hearing what people are saying and what they're not saying as well. We got about a minute and a half or so to wrap up here. Thank you for taking an interest in our community and getting involved, and it's so refreshing to hear somebody say it's not just about making money, it's about making a difference in people's lives. The children's free multivitamins you mentioned, what's the age break off for that?
So there is an age break off of if less than 18 years.
Okay.
So if you're less than 18 years, it's free for you. If you're more than 18 years old, then there is, different products that you have to try. So that's just, we kept that age limit because we know a lot of kids or even teenagers don't realize, their parents don't realize teenagers are picky eaters too. So not just like little kids. So we kind of kept that limit a little bit broader just because we know that we have friends that have teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
So we kept it very broad. And like I said, there's no strings attached to it. The parents don't have to get prescriptions from us. And this all stemmed from, I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce, and I go to the education committee meetings, and we talk about, well, what is going on and what are the concerns that they have for their kids. And, cafeteria food sometimes is not always the best food. Some kids can't, bring lunches from home. So that, was something that we were discussing. And then I read an article that was done by Michelle Obama. So I was like, well, kids are a very, very sensitive population. So we decided to do this for our little kids. We also have a free VFC program. So we're the first pharmacy in Tennessee that are a VFC site. That's a Vaccines for Children site. It's a CDC site. So we're basically just like the health department. So you can come in and get your childhood vaccinations for free at our pharmacy. You don't have to have an appointment. You just walk right in. So if your child needs a back-to-school vaccination, especially with summer coming and school starting back up after summer, if they need like a 7th grade vaccination, we do those at our pharmacy for free of charge. They don't have to go to the pediatrician and pay like, $200 a visit or something, or they don't have to wait at the health department either.
I really wish we could have some more time to talk about this, and hopefully you'll be back out here when the real man, Coleman, is here to talk about it. But thank you for what you're doing with our community, and thank you for what I see as an obvious love and passion for people.
Yes, thank you, Judge Tatum.
And with that, thanks for tuning in to Coleman and Company. Tune in Monday morning to hear the man when he's back in the chair. And until then, we wish you a fantastic day.